Hi, Robin with Oxy-Dry. And today I thought I would address an issue that I've noticed come up on some of the Facebook pages, and sometimes it's a question that we are dealing with, and it has to do with tip looming and steps. And this, I haven't cleaned these steps yet. I'm about to, as you can see. And if you take a good look on these steps, you can see they're actually tip loomed, particularly along the edge here. The yarn is flaring open, as opposed to over here where you can see it's a much more defined and sort of a tighter twist here. But over here, where the wear and tear has been happening, the carpet is actually flaring open because it's wearing. And one thing to remember when it comes to steps is that they say that the average pressure when people are pounding up and down steps is about 1,200 pounds per square inch. And that's a tremendous amount of energy that's, pounded into the step. I mean, you're basically, as you're walking up and down the steps, you're actually kind of like, especially if you're running up and down them, there's a pounding effect that's going on. And you do that of hundreds and hundreds of times, and over a period of time, you will definitely get a wear effect that will happen. But of course, most of the wear is happening between here and about here, right? Right in the middle. Most people are walking in the middle, so you get this area here where you get the wear. Whereas over on the sides, usually very little, if any. And sometimes I remember a couple of years ago, I think I had a call from somebody who had a customer who had accused them of tip looming the steps. And I really thought that it was highly unlikely that it would have happened. But unfortunately, the customer was convinced that the steps had been tip loomed. And in the end, he spent the money and he replaced the carpeting on the steps. And I expect that he probably shouldn't have, and that the wear that was on the steps was simply from the walking on the steps. So I gave that some thought, and I realized that there was a very simple way to address this issue. And I'm about to show you a little technique that will prove that any tip looming that is present on the steps isn't caused by this machine right here. And it's a very simple thing you can do, and if you get into the habit of doing it, if anybody ever was to say, hey, I think you tip loomed my steps or you damaged my steps, you can show them very quickly that it wasn't possible that you did so, because if you tip loom here, with what I'm about to show you, you would also tip loom here. And I'm going to show you that it doesn't happen. So I'm actually going to grab my grooming tool before I do this so that I can finish them off. Okay, so here's what you do. Whenever you clean steps, rather than concentrating your time in the middle area, whenever you clean the steps, always go from side to side equally. Cover the whole step every time. Now, the reason that you would do that is that if you were actually tip looming, you would tip loom everywhere. But what you're actually doing is you're just lifting and separating the carpet that is damaged in the middle, and it'll be standing up and could be interpreted as having been damaged, but all you're doing is revealing the true nature of the carpet by lifting the pile. So I've gone over that step exactly the same. Every inch of the step has been gone over the same. Now also remember, when you clean the steps to the 45, which is at that angle where I'm at right now, is usually where the most of the soiling and wear is. So make sure you do that, but again, do the entire step from side to side, from wall to wall. If you're going to tip loom, you will see it everywhere then. And as you're watching this step, I'm looking at the fiber, and I'm seeing that there is no tip looming appearing on the areas where the wear hasn't already occurred and caused the fiber, the yarn, to flare. I'm not causing tip looming, but there is tip looming from wear on these steps already. So again, do the entire step from side to side. And in case you're wondering, I am using a Glad pad on this. I find they work really well, and I'm using a Velcro pad driver, which is one I actually made. But Challenger does sell one for a reasonable price that works very well on the Oric machine. I have one of their pad drivers as well, but I'm using a modified Oric one. Again, watch that 45. This carpet is a few years old now, so there is a fairly significant amount of wear on the steps. It's a nylon, by the way, and a decent quality one. Nearly done. And then I'll show you the grooming. I'm going to show you a little trick when it comes to the grooming too. Again, I'm going all the way to the left, all the way to the right. I'm not dwelling on the center. And that's basically it for the steps. Not really all that soiled. We'll get rid of this. Okay, now the grooming. Now we have an effect that will appear on the front edge, partly because of just the way the wear shows. And we call it grinning too, because the carpet tends to open up and you can sort of look in to the yarn right there. But you notice what I just did? I laid it over. I laid the yarn over the bullnose. And I'll do that again. Now you're always going to see a little bit of a darker appearance there from excessive wear, because that's where all the abrasion and rubbing has occurred, is on that 45 of the bullnose. But and any of this bit of a darkness that's in there, by the way, that'll lighten up completely as it gets bone dry. Stairs will look really good when they're bone dry. But again, you can see it looks pretty dark right there. I'm going to lay the yarn down so that the light, there you go. See that? Do that again. Again, look at how dark it is. But I'm laying the yarn down. This is the way that yarn was originally laying before I cleaned it, by the way. So I'm putting it down the way that it was. Little trick. Just like that. Come on along nicely, yeah? Now I could do this quite a bit faster if I really wanted to, but because I'm filming this, I'm videoing it. I'm being very careful to make sure that I'm really showing you what I'm doing here. So, but I can do this quite a bit faster than this. Looking good. See what a difference that makes? And this is a very light and highly reflective type of carpet. So this, it really makes a difference doing this. And as you can see, there's no tip blooming at all present out here. But there is the yarns in the where the treads are, where people have been stepping. The yarn is flared out, and sometimes particularly if you groom it incorrectly, people could interpret that as being caused by your cleaning, and it's not. And to go from side to side like I showed you there, if you cause tip blooming, you'd tip bloom here as well as here, as well as here. And if you only see what appears to be tip blooming and wear right here, and you've done what I showed you there, then that's because there's only wear here and not here, and the machine did not cause this, because if it caused it here, it would cause it over here. And if it doesn't, then it didn't cause this. So there you go. Hopefully that'll save some of us a lot of grief, eh? Anyway, hopefully that'll help you out. Have a good day.